There you go.
Boom, 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 boom.
Boom. The boom has lost its appeal. I was thinking
the boom isn't there anymore.
Yeah. Well,
Like a Mike Colelli jump shot's gone broke.
Yeah, story of his entire season.
Oof.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to episode 71, Entering Milford. Download and subscribe wherever you can. Do your kids watch a lot of YouTube? No. Casey, yours probably doesn't. Steve.
We do Miss Rachel on YouTube. You guys heard of that?
No.
She is a like speech therapist and like youth teacher, whatever, that during COVID she started putting out YouTube videos, whatever, and now she's blown. Now she's like a millionaire with ad sales and stuff like that. She's huge.
Like these millionaires on YouTube, like how about that kid? Lugo used to watch this kid called Ryan's Toy Review.
Oh yeah, he makes a ton of money.
Oh my. I mean, $13 million.
It's probably something similar. Like her first episode is like her like in like front of a blue screen, just talking and like doing stuff. And then now she's got like graphics, things flying in and out the screen, animations, all this stuff. It's wild.
Imagine just like reviewing toys as a 6-year-old. Oh, by the way, here's $13 million.
I want to honestly talk about how weird the parents are in those videos. Like the dad stuff, like they're like, "What's up, girl?" And like they're dressed up in like. I think that they are so weird. Anyway, my daughter, whenever I point a camera at my daughter, she always tells me to like and subscribe because she watches so much YouTube. So this is Entering Milford, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are available. Don't forget to follow us on Entering Milford at Twitter and look for the video link in the podcast in the description. See that's
like, subscribe. Turn off Miss Rachel, turn on Entering Milford.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So what do we got tonight? We got a week 14 review. We can talk about some picks and let's go over some playoff situations. I didn't know what I was going to say for an opening at the beginning of this, so I had to Google what like fake holiday it was, which is a big tactic in advertising and marketing. And I found out that it was National Ice Cream Day. And so for that, I wanted to talk about what our favorite ice cream flavor is, but in Milford, we take ice cream very seriously. And I wanted to know not just what your favorite flavor was, full order, go. Steve, welcome to the podcast. Say hello and tell us your favorite ice cream order.
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm from Milford.
Hi, Steve.
And you ever notice too, this whole National Ice Cream Day? I feel like I hear it's National Ice Cream Day like 3 times a year.
Why is it in December? Why not July?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I hear it in the middle of the summer, and you hear like at the beginning of the spring, today's National Ice Cream Day. Well, first of all, the Smuggler down in Dennis, chocolate chip cookie dough. It's not even close.
You ever go to Sunday school, or is that just a Harwich thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Red Sox Yankees thing, especially if you're a Smuggler fan. So,
okay.
So the Smuggler it was a real disappointing thing. Had to change their location in the middle of the summer a couple of years ago because they lost their building. Yeah, so they moved a couple miles down the road, but still just as good. Into an old Bank of America, actually.
All right, Casey, give me yours.
I'm like the only guy that didn't go to the Cape in the summers for Milford. Pete, when I was younger, I didn't really eat ice cream. I used to get slushes all the time from Dairy Queen.
I'll accept it. What's your favorite slush order?
Instead, I used to.
If you get
blue raspberry,
if you get Dairy Queen slushes, it's not a slush; it's a Mr. Misty.
Same thing. Yeah, Mr. Misty. Yeah, Mr. Misty. But now, you ever been to the grocery store? You get those like little Friendlies single serving cups. They do a like Reese's peanut butter cup one that is absolutely out of this world.
It has the Reese's cup in it with like the peanut butter around it.
No, it's like vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
And it's got like some peanut butter and chocolate swirls in it, but the top is like a solid, like melted layer of peanut butter and chocolate, almost like it's a frozen, like capped like a cupcake, but on ice cream.
You see now Ben and Jerry's has like, instead of like, they have like the pints or quarts or whatever it is, but now they have like the the individual minis in the stores now.
Whoa. Yeah, Ben and Jerry spoke at my college commencement, and they got booed off the stage for making anti-Bush comments. It was crazy. My favorite ice cream, if you guys are ever in Baltimore or in the Maryland region, check out Taharka Brothers. It is a local ice cream thing. I don't even know if I can send it, but if I can, I will. They make a graham cracker one, like a Teddy Graham one, like that candy Teddy Grahams. It is so good. It is like crack cocaine. Like in Baltimore, it's like heroin, to Harker Brothers, and Raven.
Everything else.
Yes, no crap. I don't know. I didn't really think that joke out. But anyway,
Send us your favorite ice cream flavors or cocaine flavors to Entering Milford.
It's like, do you have heroin? No. Do you have the Harker Brothers graham cracker? Maybe. All right. So tonight, happy National Ice Cream Day, December 13th. It's also like 17 people's birthdays, like Taylor Swift. I was like, I'm not doing all that. All right.
Michael I want to. Kaleli's birthday is coming up real soon.
Thursday.
Thursday. I remember that without.
I didn't want to give it away.
15th, baby.
Yeah.
All right, let me do 2 reminders real quick. One, reminder on the money, because there's some confusion on what's going on here. Over the summer at the spring meeting, the league voted that the regular season champion would go down from $500 to $300. That $300 is what is on the line for the leagues, just so everyone's clear. It's not $500, it's $300. I forget the way the math.
Congratulations, Andy DeVita.
Yeah, congratulations, Andy. So that essentially covers your entry fee. So just a reminder, I forget how the money breaks down, but it was $750 for the booms. It was $300 for the league and $1950 for the champ. So anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. The other thing is the lottery system. Just a reminder of those people out there. We always say the T word, tank. Honestly, there is no benefit to tanking. The bottom 6 all fall into a pool where they have about a 5% chance from the other one of getting the top pick. It is really not very much different odds being in the first pick or being in the 6th. So tank all you want. There's really nothing to gain there. So with that, you guys good? You want to start with some weekly awards?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, Pete.
Let's talk about the boom of the week. All right, boom of the week, 159, Andy DeVita. The train cannot be stopped. It was his 6th boom of the year. It was his 9th boom overall. That puts him back on top. And the 6th, I'm here myself, which is a terrible thing.
Hello.
There we go. There goes the echo. Andy's 6th boom of the season. That's a new record, new single season record. We've only been doing it for 3 years, but 6 in a year. Good for him.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So he's already covered his fee. Beast of the week. 48 points. Your boy took your best shot. DeVito, you called it. What did you see?
I saw Detroit being terrible, and Justin Jefferson is a beast.
Is it a combination of both? He's that good and that team's that bad?
Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson in a dome is damn near impossible to stop. And he should have had more when that touchdown got called back, which I'm not sure what exactly that referee was looking at.
Yeah, ruined the week for me.
In my pocket.
I was going to say Pete paid him off.
That one didn't count. All right, so who's Detroit got next week?
The Jets.
Wilson. I guess that goes well for Christian.
Sauced up.
Yeah, but it's going to be in New York. And there's supposed to be a winter storm coming east Sunday afternoon into Monday.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Well, Justin Jefferson, he takes it for Casey. I think this is his 2nd east of the year. Anyway, the going deep, longest play. Do you guys know? Really weird one.
No.
You okay, Brian? I don't want to make you mad. Jeez, all right. I can help you out next time. I can give.
It's a tough episode for me.
Give me the pins.
I'm not here to rub it in. The longest reception was Marlon Mack. He had a 33-yard reception, and the longest run was Derrick.
No one would have guessed that.
No, he had a 50-yard run for Derrick Henry. So longest reception was Mack. Henry. Okay, let's talk scoring real quick. Average. The average this week, the average score for all the teams was 126. That was mostly thanks to Mike because he sucked. The season average is 133. The highest score this week, 159. That was DeVita. That was 28th out of 140 scores. So relatively low compared to other booms that were up there. And then the lowest score this week, that was 71. That was 139 out of 140. So only one score was worse than that one. So 2nd lowest score of the year.
I believe the lowest score of the year, correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, was that Christian? He was somewhere in the 50s, right?
50s, yeah, 51. I think it was like, and it was also the same week. It was the same week that Andy put the 182 up on him too. So it
was that this week.
I'm telling you, hey, Christian avenged it, so we can't bring it up anymore.
No,
he didn't have Zay Jones on his roster that week.
All right, before we go, we got to pause for an ad read. Okay, good.
Insert
listen well.
I'm gonna look for when I put my hand up. All right, let's get
Good
in.
joke, Pete. Good joke. Good jokes in there, Pete.
All right, let's talk about the picks recap. Casey, give me a recap on how we did last week.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a good week for the pod, sort of a run of the mill collectively, but the playoff picture for the picks is starting to take place. While
Nice sentence.
While Kaleli's team is absolutely flopping, he's making a charge in his picks. He's had back-to-back 4-1 weeks to get himself back in the mix here. Now standing at a 41-29 clip overall. Pete, another good week for you. 4-1 week to pull one game ahead of Steve now. You are 44-26. Steve, after a 3-2 week, because he picked me like an idiot, is now 43-27. So one game separates our number one and our number two team in the pick'em. And I had a dreadful 2-3 week. I have now fallen back to the pack, and I need to be probably damn near perfect to even come out of the basement the rest of the way. So good week.
How did Mike?
I'm sorry?
How did Mike do?
Mike went 4-1. He's had back-to-back 4-1 weeks.
Oh, geez. What? I missed that. Did they already say that? You already said that?
I said that. I said that
That's
first.
the first thing he said.
Sorry. I'm too busy up here being like,
You know what it is? It must be a host thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
is
think
Mike
it's-
too.
Do you know what's funny? Something about our superlatives. Steve, you hit your first boom pick of the entire year this week with
Wow.
DeVito.
I played the percentages. How do you not?
Your boom record right now is 1-12.
It's awesome.
So your superlatives, you're in last place in our superlative picks because your boom is just so bad.
Horrible.
You
But
just
how
got
about
to start
this?
picking DeVito like the rest of us. Yeah, that's
How about this, right? There's only one person on the pod now who has a defeated category. So if you look at booms, upsets, and lock picks, of the four of us in those three categories, there's only one category that somebody has gone over for the entire year. Can you guess who it is? And can you guess the category?
Oh wow.
So let's
Well,
start.
I got my- it's not me.
Which picker? Which picker? Yeah, Steve Hughes came out. Which picker? Who's the guy?
I don't think
Mike.
it's. I think I've hit.
Kalel.
Yeah, I think I've hit
Yeah,
everything.
he's awful.
Sorry.
Which one hasn't he gotten all year?
I have one kid upstairs that's just rip roaring.
A lock?
I bet he hasn't
No.
picked an upset correct.
No.
Oh,
Those
wow.
two are probably the easiest to pick, right? Your upsets and your locks should be the easiest to
He
pick.
has no boom.
Mike is 0-14 on the boom pick this year. He is
Wow.
0 for 14,
Wow.
but he's 11-3 in his locks.
Whoa.
So he has the highest average of anybody else in that category. So
Come on, Mike. Give me a Duracell this week,
Right.
buddy.
And
Yeah.
he calls them Duracells for some reason. He can't even get them.
Trust his lock, don't trust his boom picks. So that's our recap going week 14. We got 3 weeks left, fellas.
I don't trust anything that guy says. All right, let's talk about playoff percentages. Okay. So I ran a couple numbers. They may or may not be right. There's only 3 teams that really matter in the playoff race because Andy's pretty much locked it up. I've locked it up. So it really comes down to DeVito, who is currently in the 3rd seed, Christian, who is in the 4th seed, and Kaleli, who is on the outside looking in. Innes is in 6th, but mathematically eliminated. So there is really no road for him to get in, and everyone underneath that is eliminated. So unlike last year, we're really just looking at 3 people. So let's run through the scenarios real quick. I'll try to keep this somewhat easy because it's hard to follow it, especially on a audio podcast, I bet.
I think it's pretty simple though, if you look at the rundown.
Hey, well, I didn't ask for your opinion, so let's just. All right, let's talk about.
It's really hard if you're not looking at this on an audio podcast. It's actually really simple.
All right, well, you can just forget about that. All right, DeVito.
Just sit down and listen.
DeVito is the first team to look at. If he wins, he's in. So great. If he loses, he needs a loss from Kaleli. No, he needs a Kaleli and Christian win to be completely eliminated. Okay.
So I have the way I've broken this down, Pete, not to ruin the parade here.
No, go ahead.
I have 3 outs. Christian has 2, and Mike has essentially 1.
Ooh. Yes.
So I can win or a Darian loss or a Kaleli loss. So there are my 3.
Yep.
Darian is a win or a Kaleli loss. And Kaleli has to win and hope that we both lose.
Yeah. And the weird thing that I actually looked at was if all 3 of you win, Kaleli's out. That's a pretty interesting one too, because everything would stay the same currently.
And we played Christian this past week.
Yeah.
It's juicy.
Kaleli really needs a win, but he also needs one of you guys to go down. So he really is on the outside looking at the best. So anyway,
the tough part for him though is going to be, and it's going to come down. There's a points thing here with him and I. So him and I are not that far away now in points because of this past week. I believe he has me by roughly 30, 35 points. I think it is. I could be wrong, but I think it's 35 points. So even if he wins and I lose, but I outscore him by 35, right? So he could win, and score 105 points, but I'm somewhere, in the 140s, 150s and lose to Andy. I could potentially outscore him, which would still knock him out.
Okay.
But Christian cannot outscore him.
Okay. So here's the way I looked at it. I tried to make this as easy as possible because obviously a lot of things get tangled. If you look at all the scenarios of what could happen, which are like DeVito wins, Didarian loses, Kaleli loses. DeVito wins, Didarian loses, Kaleli wins. And you take all of those different scenarios out of what happens. 87% of the time, DeVito ends up as the number 3 seed. So you got a pretty good chance of finishing 3, right? In that same situation, when you look at everything, Didarian has about a 75% chance of finishing 4th. And so those are pretty 2 strong odds for those 2 final places. And then lastly, Kaleli, I wish I didn't really look at the percentages before this week, but he is down to a 37% chance of being the number 4 seed, and almost no chance of being the number 3 seed. But there's about a 40% chance that Kaleli can make the playoffs as an outside threat that looks in. So what I'm trying to say is the percentages for the top 4 look pretty locked up as DeVita, DeLuca, DeVito, and Didarian. A lot of D's. Look at the D party coming through. This is like our lockers.
D
so
to
what
the 4th power.
I want to know, what do you got? It is our lockers. Throw a Del Vecchio in there and you got the whole group. I guess I want to know who can come in and spoil all this. Again, can Kaleli do it?
Well, hold on, just throw a little tease into that, right? Not to get ahead to Thursday, but looking into the next week's matches coming up, a little tease, if you will.
Yeah.
DeVito, who has the highest percentage of giving in, has to play the hardest matchup in DeVito, who's on a boombastic type year.
Ooh.
So that's a tough matchup for Steve to add a little wrinkle to this. Christian is playing Breen, and on the year, Breen has scored 200 more points than Christian. So not a walk in the park in terms of overall performance for the year. Kaleli has Innes, who's right behind him in the 5th seed, but Innes has Kaleli's fantasy cheat code in Christian McCaffrey. Does Christian McCaffrey come around and ruin Mike's potential? So many storylines. It's awesome.
It does make for a heck of a week 15. I am very excited about it. I feel like it's ending on a high note compared to other years.
I think I said this last week.
Fewer teams, but more wrinkles, I guess.
Yeah.
In terms of who they're playing next, like everybody's impacting each other still.
Yeah.
This is not what I wanted. I was very, very clear about this last week.
Yeah.
I did not want this to come down.
I don't know about clear. Yeah.
I don't know about clear. When you listen back to it, it wasn't, but we got what you're saying.
I said it. I did not want my chances of making the playoffs to come down to this at all.
That was better.
I actually kind of feel in a really weird way, like the 2012 Red Sox.
Which
when
one?
they were like almost like a surefire lock to get into
last
the playoffs.
Place. Yeah, last place.
And no,
Gonzalez.
They were in first place.
Oh yeah,
forever and a day.
You love crossing sports.
I'm just talking about the fact that my team has struggled here in the second half of the year. We've lost 4 of 6 in the back end here. This is not very good.
I remember that year. I was planning my honeymoon around the Red Sox making the World Series, and
Baltimore.
Yeah, and Baltimore ended up making it. It was very embarrassing.
Steve, do you think you won the trade?
Which one?
Any of them. I don't know. Just bring back old storylines.
All right. So, anyways, do you guys think that these 4 are locked in, or what? Can Mike ruin this? Let's put a bow on this. I don't think he can.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the Kyler injury is going to really.
It might save him.
Oh. Didn't even take that into consideration.
I don't think it's going to though, because what it did to Hopkins, you could see it last night.
Yeah. Didn't even take that into consideration, to tell you the truth. When you guys see what's his name? Who's the quarterback on the Cardinals now? Colt McCoy. Do you see Mac Jones in the future 10 years from now?
Not to go off on a tangent there, but he cries like a baby on the field. Like, how is that guy a professional athlete? He doesn't even act like an adult.
I don't know.
He throws temper tantrums on the field when he doesn't get his way. I know Matt Patricia's like a god awful offensive coordinator. He throws temper tantrums. He's as bad as my kid.
All I know.
A delay of game last night because they couldn't get the offensive play.
Stop talking to me. Stop talking to my ear.
I haven't seen that yet. I gotta go look up that clip.
He said, "Shut up." He didn't say, "Stop talking to my ear." He just said, "Shut up."
Yeah. Even still, it's such a bad look. If you're a professional,
no, it's not a good look by any stretch. But
Steve, you're a coach. Imagine you leaving the rubber after a pitching meeting and your pitcher doing that to you in front of everybody so we can see it at a Milford Legion game.
No, I get what you're saying, but I don't.
I can't defend him.
It's the same, but it's not. I get what you're saying, but
I can't defend Mac Jones as a franchise quarterback or someone we should build around when you act like that. Like you're a spoiled brat. Like he's acting like a tennis pros kid.
Well, I mean, Brady used to do that too. Brady used to have little tantrums on the sideline, but you got
not when he was that young. He was that young. Like this guy hasn't won anything yet. He's acting like it.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's go on to the something that actually matters. Our league. All right, let's do the week 14 in review, and let's start with we can kind of buzz through these because we're gonna have a lot of content here, and these games don't really matter. So let's talk about Spates and Breen. Both seasons are officially over. There was a sweep for CJ. Which is not an easy sentence to say. We are racking those up tonight. This snapped a 4-game losing streak for Spates, but really anything of significance. Steve, if you look at Breen's entire season, is there anything you would have done differently? This guy's kind of gone on the last 8 games he's lost, or the last 9 games he's lost 8 of them. This is pretty un-Breen-like. What should he have done differently?
First of all, I don't like hearing that, considering he's playing a guy that I could potentially be trying to get into the playoffs with. So that wasn't a fun stat to hear. But I think we all have agreed.
He's due.
I think we've all right. I like that. Thanks, Case. I think we've all agreed, but this has been Breen's MO in his entire fantasy career. He does not make a lot of in-season trades, and he had a ton of assets this year where he could have potentially made a deal or two.
Anything.
Right. And even when he was selling at the deadline, like we had talked about earlier, where he could have sold Chubb or something along those lines to get a couple of additional picks and DK Metcalf, a young receiver. I probably would have made a couple of other moves if I was Kevin.
All right.
One way or another.
Casey, you had a brief stint as the league spoiler before I snuffed that whole thing out. Who do you think out of this matchup can play spoiler next week? Do you think Breen or Spates can do it? Breen has Christian, so that could be a knockout shot if Breen's able to win that. And Spates has me, which whatever. And you think either can pull the spoiler?
I mean, Breen's the only one that can play a spoiler role, I guess, at this point. So I'll say Breen, just because he's got 2 or more points than Christian. He still has Josh Allen. If he gets the other guys playing well, Christian doesn't usually score a ton of points, so he might play right into some Breen ball if he can work some of his magic. I do think CJ has the better players, but I guess I gotta stop picking against Pete DeLuca. It hasn't worked yet.
I don't know why you keep doing it. You keep jumping on. I mean,
Pete's little buddy.
You got something against me. I don't know. What do you have today for your name in the corner?
Pete's little buddy.
Oh. I for some reason never see those until I see it later. Steve cracked a joke to me about how he was my daddy, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on in this entire thing. No idea. I didn't see anybody's name. I was like,
I will say this for CJ. This is the second time all year. I think I've picked him maybe 6 or 7 times. This is only the second time that he's actually come through for me for my lock. So thanks, CJ. Maybe look good in that regard.
That was a random lock to pull too, and you kind of pulled it out of nowhere.
I didn't think Breen didn't have a complete roster at the time, and it's not like he filled it in with any great fancy guys. Travis Homer, thanks a lot.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I think Breen's phoned it in. He's on to
2024. He's got like 12 picks in the first round.
All right, let's go on to the next game. We are talking about the number 7 seed Innis against the number 10 seed Larkin. Even though this game is very unimportant to the big picture, Jeff improves to 8-0 against Lloyd. That's pretty cool. That's a season sweep. Lloyd ends week 14 as the lowest scoring team with the worst record. So you took a big step back this year, Lloyd. I don't know what happened. Big news is that this lines up the Casey Lloyd Garbage Bowl in week 15. I'm very excited about it. Steve, with Innis at what is he? No, with Christian at 8-6. There's no way Innis is going to make the playoffs, so we can forget about that. So,
down 2 games.
Huh?
You're chasing 2 games in the win column.
So we know the bet. Really, what I want to know is which man has more to lose in this whole situation, Brian Casey or Dan Larkin? As a man,
Case, I'm real sorry. It's got to be you.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'll answer that question.
Considering you're playing against Lloyd, who has the lowest point total with the same record as you, and a second-year manager. It has to be Case.
How did we get here, guys? How did we get here?
Well, I mean, we could go back to last year, but I don't think we want to rehash it.
No, I was going to say, Casey, when you made the bet, this really isn't how you drew it up, but I guess.
No,
I don't think Case.
I don't took the bet.
I don't think Case was conscious when this happened.
Do you remember taking it? Come on.
Yeah, I remember taking it. I can't believe he took the bet at the time. Like, I was like, who is this guy? Why does he think his team's that good?
Is this
and
before or after
his
you
team's
spilled?
not good.
Is this before or after you spilled DeVito's wine all over my new pod shirt?
You spilled the wine all over the shirt? Oh, God.
You remember this? It was right behind you.
Never mind. That didn't happen. All right. So
that's when Brittany tackled me because he thought I was looking at his draft notes.
Because you were.
I was making fun of his handwriting. Have you seen Kevin Breen's handwriting, by the way?
I would assume it's good.
It's like everything's a lowercase letter and everything's cursive and like very round. He writes very round letters.
Wow, he seems like a sharp individual. Like
no. Everything is round and flow. It's like a merry-go-round of cursive letters.
I'm gonna need to ask for a writing sample next time I see him. Maybe not an autograph. I can be like, hey, can you sign my hat? Yeah, I think we're getting off the rails. All right, so if Lloyd has lost 3 in a row, he's barely hit 100 during those times. Casey, I get tired of asking how confident are you? So what I want to know is if you were Vegas and you were making a betting line for this game, what would the point spread be for you and Lloyd? What would it open up at? DeVito, think too. What would your point spread be?
Should we do this in the context like a football game?
Yeah.
Or you want, no.
Like
our points.
Yeah. Fantasy betting. Yep. So you're going to make a fantasy bet right now. Who is going to win? Let's first of all determine who's going to be the favorite. Who's the favorite?
It's gotta be Case.
All right. I agree with everybody. Casey's the favorite. Okay. So how much, if you want Lloyd, how many points are you taking? Or how many points would it take for you to take Lloyd?
30 points.
30?
Oh, geez.
At least 30.
That's too much.
No.
I would say at least 30. Yeah, I'm with Steve. I would say maybe let's open the line at 35.
I'd say let's open the line.
I appreciate the vote of confidence, guys, but my team has not performed to a 30-point.
I'll open the line at 27.5. How's that, Case? All right.
I was gonna say 11.5.
What? Oh my goodness.
Oh
right.
Man, this is not good.
Steve, over under. What's your thought on an over under with these two?
Total points in the matchup?
Yeah.
I'm doing math in my head right now. Hold on.
I'm gonna go do some serious math.
I'll say 225.
225. I was gonna say 200, thinking like both teams would score 100 kind of situation. 225.
I think Case is going to score a lot this week.
Okay, so you think one team's going over 100?
Yes, I do.
I average 16.2 more points than Lloyd a week, so I think 30 is a stretch.
Okay, so the line's going to be 25. We're going with that. All right.
11.5 is not that far off.
No, okay. We're going Lloyd plus 25. That line is bound to come down before kickoff.
Oh, it's definitely coming down.
We're setting the over under at 210.
I will say, Case, I know we're going to look at this on Thursday, but your matchups are brutal this week.
Guys,
of all weeks.
What happened?
Of all weeks.
What happened?
And one more thing to roll into this. I'm sorry I have to talk to you about this right now, and you're not going to enjoy this, but you have 1, 2, 3,
Save it for Thursday.
You have 3 games, potentially 4, that are going to be dealing with heavy precipitation.
That's okay. I'm okay with that.
Your
Football.
Green Bay game has a 70% chance of sleet and snow. Your Cleveland game has a 55%
They
chance
always
of
have
sleet.
snow in Green Bay.
And your Buffalo game, they've already talked about this. There's going to be 6 to 10 inches of snow falling Saturday night with
They'll
Buffalo.
move to Detroit. It's a dome.
Yeah.
They can't.
I'm not worried about the weather.
It's a good
It'll
thing.
be. It is what it is.
Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. I love how this is lined up.
If I lose, there's gonna be like a regulation league I can go to.
The G League.
I mean, at this point, we haven't kicked you out. We'll just keep going with it.
You can't. I'm a key cog to this league.
I would agree. All right, let's move on to the next game.
The nice thing you've ever said.
Yeah, let's move on to the next game.
Someone's going to be the Cubs.
Yeah, don't speak too soon. It is the number 2 seed DeLuca against the number 9 seed Casey. I even up the series against Casey. I even up the series against Casey with a season sweep. This really isn't news if we want to save some time.
How about Goff goes off, has a huge day, but Amon-Ra doesn't catch a dang touchdown?
I took your best shot. A proud manager wouldn't have excuses, but go ahead. What went wrong?
I already hedged my bet earlier. I said I had 2 guys on buys, 2 important guys on buys.
The buy monster catches you again.
Yeah. I actually have this on record. I have this on record because I was texting with Mike, who's not here, obviously, because he's playing men's hoops, about part of my strategy. Like, I thought going into Herbert's game, was that Sunday night or Monday night? Sunday night. That I had him, and I said, man, if he could get 30 here, I feel good about the Dortch, flip at the end. Now, mind you, okay, I told this before the pod that 2 weeks ago when Rondale Moore went down with his hamstring issue or groin issue, whatever it is, Dortch in the slot, 9 catches, over 100 yards, had like 24 points. That was like been more than enough to take down Pete. Last night, Dortch didn't even play a freaking offensive snap. Or at least it didn't feel like it because I couldn't see him out there. So
he had a great punt return.
I lost. Pete beat me. I'm Pete's little buddy.
Oh man, I
hope I don't have to play a combination of Dortch, McKenzie, and James Cook against Lloyd this week.
Oh, you know what though? I do think we owe you an apology though, because I was listening back to the podcast, and the moment that we muted you when you were going on like a little bit of a rant, you were talking about how Houston plays close games, and DeVito said not on the road, and you just kept saying yes they do, and DeVito was like no they don't, dude, check the stats. And Houston had the closest game on the road, so you were like, we absolutely muted you there. So I'll apologize. Steve, do you want to apologize or not?
No.
All right.
Who the heck is DJ Chark? What the heck is going on?
Dude,
I had him and I dropped him. How does that work?
It's the best.
Pete and I talked about this too before. As the game was developing, Pete was being a total jerk face before halftime of the 1:00 games because he was playing everybody. His team got off to a really good start.
I've never had a season be over by 20 minutes.
Yeah, Pete got really quiet. That game script for the 49ers was Debo heavy. He was going off, bunch of touches, and then he gets hurt. I think Pete called something in. Jefferson gets a touchdown call back. This shouldn't even have happened.
I was out on 34th.
I feel like Kaleli over here.
No, I had to do our annual family trip to 34th Street, which if you have a second, Google it. It is the ugliest thing in Baltimore.
Justin Herbert throws for 367 yards, but only 1 touchdown. He couldn't get another. They got down inside the 10 twice or 3 times. He didn't throw a touchdown. Had kicked field goals. Stupid.
So there were a couple plays in that game case where if Keenan Allen caught, so there were two balls thrown to him, it could have been touchdowns. And there was another one that was would have been about 50-yard gain. He catches those 3 balls. I somehow find a way to beat there. And I almost texted you. I was like, what the frick is going on with Herbert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, you seem like you're a pretty big fan of me. Why doesn't anyone think that I'm a good team?
Pete, I think the one thing that people overlook with you is that you don't care about the names. You play the matchups. It's very obvious what happened this week with your team. There aren't many.
All my team was harder on buys, and Pete wasn't.
But Case, by the time you realize that you already lost, I realized that 4 weeks ago.
What, you want to put $100 on it?
All right. Well, Steve, thanks for the elaboration. I thought you would give me a little bit more hype than that.
I was gonna say that you like I said, you are a matchup.
What do you guys think about that Darian DeVito game?
What do you guys think about Samaje Perine? That was a pretty good pickup, but yeah.
You guys think he's a nice guy?
That's all right though. 2 seed, 11 wins. I've won 5 in a row twice. I'm 4th in league in scoring. I've had 3.
Good job, Pete.
That's completely fine. Keep saying you like your team better than mine.
I do like my team better than yours. I don't think your team's very intimidating.
All right, that sounds incredible. All right, let's move on. Number 5 seed Darian, number 3 seed DeVito. Break the glass in case of emergency. Coach DeVito, you picked the worst time to put up your season low in points. Wow, season low. Oh, and Christian pulls the another upset victory to get back in the playoff picture. He completes the toe toss sweep, 2-0 against DeVita and DeVito. Only person to do that. Jeff Innes did not. Casey, let's start here. Let's start with Darian because he won, as I predicted. After 3 straight weeks over 150, Christian comes down to earth a little bit. Is this a sign of the momentum slowing down for Christian, or is this just a little hiccup?
I don't know anymore.
Oh.
I don't know anymore. Like, you think that it's slowing down. He scored 127 points. Like, not a strong week. Hurts was awesome. His next best guy was Zay Jones, although we did criticize that. Apparently, he knew what he was doing too, Pete, with that play. But everyone else, 16, 4, 8, 12. Like, he didn't get any performances out of anybody. You got to think it's running out.
Do you think Christian can win the whole thing?
No.
What would he need to do next week in order for you to maybe be like, oh, I think he could win? He's playing Breen. How much would he have to beat Breen by to be like? If
Josh Allen has to get carted off the field.
But if Christian throws up 200 points, would you be like, oh, maybe he can win it?
It would be like the ultimate underdog. They'd make a Disney movie out of it if he won.
All right,
so
there's
you couldn't be more of a little engine that could right now.
We're gonna call him Christian, the Icebox Darian, just the little guy out there running around looking for
the Icebox.
Steve, this one hurt. Thankfully, Mike is out there to make you look better because he looks even worse.
Got the guard to the left, and the quarterback's not even there. We're standing around, butts.
It's the annexation of Puerto Rico. If you lose this week. I used to do that in Pop Warner. I swear to God, I could not run. I might as well have had
Johnny. You can't pitch it to Johnny. I'm Johnny.
I'm Johnny.
I might as well have had a Pop-Tart in my practice pants in Pop Warner. I was right there with the guy with the Darth Vader helmet. Okay, so Steve, oddly enough, if you lose to DeVita this week, there's a chance you play him the next following week after that, which is crazy. There's also a chance that if Mike and Christian both win and you lose, you're done. Where does your confidence stand after this one? And like Casey, no, actually forget that. Where's your confidence stand up this weekend? What do you think? I hate these lines. I write these.
You're not like Casey.
Yeah, they're not. Man, it was like Casey.
So
do you think about
the only thing?
Who cares?
The only thing that made me feel better about this week is the fact that, like you said, that Mike had lost.
Yeah.
So now there needs to be a complete and utter chain of events here that happens for me to not get in.
You seem shook.
However, I am. However, I said this last week, and I'm going to repeat it as I just did earlier on this podcast. I did not want it to come down to play DeVita in the last game of the year.
That's the cleanest delivery so far.
Even though I can win and get in, and that my points throughout the season have helped put me in a position of strength, I would say my confidence level is definitely not through the roof right now.
This was bad karma.
Is Higgins gonna be okay, Steve? Is Higgins gonna be okay?
We'll figure it out.
You see what happened to Higgins? Like, you get the full story now. He
got hurt in pregame warmups.
He tried to warm up, but he got hurt, and then he's like, "I'll try to go," and then they pulled him out. It's like, that's bad.
Oh boy.
Well, I wish that they had reported earlier.
Steve, you're like my team last year. You're limping in, everybody's getting hurt.
Don't you wish they would just do that? Yeah.
I just wish that they had said, he had injured it in pregame warmups. He's going to try and give it a go. Okay, he sits on the bench, right? Like, you're not going to play a guy that's like that. And I insert Connor, and if I insert Connor in that matchup, I win by a point.
Steve, do you think that's bad karma for saying that Casey was one of your oldest friends and just snubbing me?
No, not at all.
Again,
could you say
being
that?
friends with Case doesn't work out for you.
Yeah, you don't get
I am
fantasy
a loyal. I am a
having Casey
loyal
over your
friend.
host. Yeah.
Steve,
Steve and I had our first jobs together. We were
Steve, if you had to
working.
choose between superpowers, flying or
Hold on,
knowing.
superpowers.
Let's talk about our first job.
Hold on, when did Case become a superpower?
Or no, could you choose between flying or
I thought you
knowing
said that
how having like a fantasy superpower where you knew every injury?
No, hold on.
Would
I
you
thought
rather
you said
have?
that I was between two superpowers, and I was like, "Whoa, I'm between. You're a superpower."
Of the three of us, you are definitely third place in superpower abilities. Like
That's not true.
Third. You'd be the third.
That's not
superhero.
true. You still have a goose egg.
It's clear that I'm number one.
I don't know about that, Pete.
Yes.
You guys are just fighting for two. All right.
Steve, Pete's superpower is modesty.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a humbling experience, do you want to talk about the last game? That's a good one for Kaleli. The transition.
Oh man.
The number 1 seed Davida plays the number 4 seed Kaleli. The game of the week that did not deliver. Davida trailed early in this game on Sunday. And then he actually just exploded. It's kind of funny. I actually looked up Davida and Kaleli's Yahoo story. And then he pointed it out too, which I thought was interesting. Davida averages 190 points against Kaleli, which is like 30 points higher than anyone else. So like Davida goes out there like Ralphie on the Christmas Story and just goes on whatever that kid's name is, like Ralph, whatever his name is, Joe Wigglesworth or whatever his name is. Scott Fargus. Yeah.
Wigglesworth. I like Wigglesworth
red
better.
Red beady eyes.
Andy just beats him up like he's Scott Fargus. So I'm pretty sure Andy took some great pride in stomping Kaleli out this week. It was the blowout of the week. So 2 teams going in completely different directions. I got a question for both of you. It was a season low in points for Kaleli. He was knocked out of the top 4. His starting quarterback blew out his knee and he got boomed on. I once peed my pants in recess. I was very embarrassed. That's how embarrassed I am for his team. How embarrassed are you for his team?
What did you do after you peed your pants?
It was in kindergarten.
Oh, okay. That's everyone pees their pants.
Yeah, but I was like, it's embarrassing. That's the level of embarrassment I have for Mike's team.
Yeah. What's the oldest age you were when you peed your pants?
27.
Okay.
I was going to say.
I'm probably more embarrassed about that one.
36.
Derrick Henry leading the charge. I think Derrick Henry is the key to success for the Blue Bloods, but he also gets U-Haul's pickup of the week with Jerick McKinnon. Huge pickup off the waiver wire.
Unapproved
40 points. 40 points. Huge.
Unapproved.
Mike's team's terrible. Talk about a flop. Like, if you looked at his names 6 weeks ago, you're like, there's no way this guy's not making the championship game. And this would become of him.
But to go off of what I said earlier, that makes Pete the manager he is that he doesn't go off of the names, and that's one difference here for Mike. However, I will say, in Mike's defense, if anyone had Mike's roster, Adams, Hopkins, Barkley, Hill, if you look at what he's got, I know those are names, but those are also guys that have dominated when they've played this year.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray going out with a torn ACL. I understand the case that you hate Kyler Murray.
Curse of Kyler. Can't win with
But Kyler Murray 2 weeks ago threw up 28 points against a porous Chargers defense. He's going up against the Patriots. If Kyler Murray plays, him and Hopkins have different games. But Barkley has killed Mike over the last couple of weeks. He has completely flopped. I'd say going back about 3 or 4 weeks now. And this Detroit running back situation is killing him.
Yeah.
So this week he plays them both. And they both do nothing. And then DJ Moore does not have a catch in a game against the Seattle pass defense that has not been very good. However, he was going up against Woolen, and he's probably the defensive rookie of the year instead of Sauce Gardner.
You guys remember back on the day when he had when Mike had both the running backs on Carolina and he played them all the time? Like they were, forget it. It was like Deshaun Foster and somebody else. And
was it?
D'Angelo Williams.
Memphis.
And he and Jonathan Smith or Jonathan Stewart.
Jonathan Stewart.
Yeah. Anyway, those 2 guys. And I remember he would it's like a similar situation to that where he You would think like 15 years later, he would be like, I don't want to be in that.
I will.
That was a huge trend, Pete. Like that whole, I think Tiki Barber and Ron Dane started that, like the dual backfield thunder and lightning. Then everyone tried to do it for a little bit.
Lock them both up. You got a mega back.
I will say this though about DeVita's team, right? I know he's boomed and he's still scoring 150 points a week, but there's a trend of a couple of his guys that I don't think I'd be too excited about if I were him. Diggs with the weather that's coming in Buffalo.
Okay.
That's going to be a tough one coming down the stretch here. Kelsey's really struggled over the last couple of weeks. It seems like teams have really honed in on him, double teamed him and not allowed him to get as open as he was. But he still has Henry and Jacobs that have just been incredible over the last couple of weeks. And the question for him is, can those two guys, I think those are his guys that are carrying him, obviously Mahomes, but I think Jacobs and Henry are his two horses. Those are the two guys.
So that was kind of my next question, because Andy, you see this stat, he's flat out embarrassing teams this year. He has a margin of victory of 44 points over everybody. That's the largest in the league. I guess what I want to know is, speaking of those guys that he's riding, the Henrys, the Jacobs, those kind of guys. Jacobs, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like that's borrowed time. That might fall apart very quickly. Or if it does fall apart, I can be like, oh, I can see that fell apart. Yeah, he's got a history of that. And I don't know if Tennessee's headed towards the playoffs or what's going on, but I've been a former Derrick Henry owner. Casey, you've been a former Derrick Henry owner. Like, as the season goes on, they start to rest him a little bit, and you got to kind of still start him, but know that they might pull him after a quarter. You look at what they did on Sunday. He played for a half really hard, and then they started to lock him down and they pulled him out. So is that something that DeVita should plan for? Or do you think that that's just in my head and I'm just making all that up?
Well, the one caveat is when they do rest him like that, it's because he's gone off for 150 yards already. So you've already got a full game out of him.
He just takes one, right?
Yeah. The games that concern you are the ones where he rushes for like 30 times for 26 yards and you hope he gets a touchdown because they don't stop giving him the ball. But Tennessee's still fighting for a playoff spot. Like, they're in a terrible division, but they're like in the 3 or 4 seed right now. Like, they're still playing for something, and they've lost 3 straight. So like, their games down the stretch, I think, are going to matter. What this year is coming up 100% DeVita. I mean, how about the fact that he gets bashed for trading for Ayuk? Not enough. Next thing you know, Debo goes down, and like 3 plays later, Ayuk scores a touchdown. So now Ayuk all of a sudden has been elevated to a more viable option because Debo's down probably for the rest of the regular season. You know what I mean? Like, everything's just coming up roses for DeVita. I think this is his year.
Yeah, it happens every 20 years. It's like,
to come back here to Derrick Henry for a second, there's an interesting stat that I was taking a look at.
Yeah.
So when Derrick Henry has struggled,
which tab did you hit?
When Derrick Henry has struggled this year, you can look at the exact same thing I'm looking at, Case, and you can confirm this or not. When there is a negative game script for Tennessee, he's nowhere to be found. Right?
Really? That's still a trend.
So earlier this year, let's take a look at it. The first 2 games of the year, so when they played the Giants and they played the Bills, he had a combined 19 points in the first 2 games.
Okay.
The next 3 games, the next 6 games, he didn't score less than 22 points, and they win 5 of those 6.
Okay. And they won them big?
They played Kansas City. The only game they lost in that stretch was they lost to Kansas City, but he had 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was a close game, 20-17.
Yeah, and they're soft. But that's his game plan. He beats up the team, and then you just got to hope that one pops. So if
the last 3 games for him, granted he had 20 points against Cincinnati, but they lost. At Philadelphia, they were getting absolutely throttled. He only scored 6 points.
Mm-hmm.
Then Jacksonville this past week, like you guys said, he had a big first half. They were in it. And then the second half rolled around, and he did virtually nothing in that second half.
I still take the 30 points though.
Yeah, I think that like they were like, this is done. Like he had
But what I'm saying is
he's got the Chargers next week in a game that he doesn't need to win, but their run defense is mush. Then he has Houston, which is going to be a low scoring, good game script for him because they're not going to pull away. And then he's got Jacksonville or you got Dallas again. So I
heard that Houston doesn't play tight games on the road. So
to Pete's point, hold on though. To Pete's point, if they pull away in the division in a game against Houston, do they not use him as much in that game? They get up big early, whatever the case may be. They pull him back. They have Dallas at home at the end of the year on a Thursday, which is, they play Saturday, then Thursday. That's a quick turnaround. Is that going to affect him? So that, it's just something for him to consider, because if you look at their schedule here, they go Sunday, Saturday, Thursday. They play 3 games in an 11-day stretch.
Ooh, and they're not going to lean on Henry.
They're not going to lean on him for 20 to 30 carries playing 3 games in 11 days.
All right. So I think we might have just given Andy DeVita a little bit of a hot tip that I look at the Derrick Henry schedule and I'm like, ooh, Houston, the first week of the playoffs. And I'm ready to put DeVita into the Super Bowl after seeing that matchup. But that might be a little bit of false positivity, I guess, for DeVita, because it looks like
smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, it looks like the next week, they might be a 180 on Henry's workload. So
I just think that if they're going to get to a game script where they're up big to rest them, it's going to be because what they do with him early, because they don't have a passing attack to do it.
No.
Other than that, they're going to have defensive touchdowns, like 2 pick sixes, and then they can rest them.
No, I understand what you're saying, but if let's be honest here. We're trying to nitpick someone who has absolutely throttled the league. Yeah. So if we're trying to nitpick and find something that's small here, that would be the only thing that you can think of, is that 3 games in 11 days. If they've locked up the division, they want him healthy to play a home game for the playoffs. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But at the same point in time, if we're looking at, like I said, nitpick on something, that would be the only thing that realistically, along with the weather issues that Diggs might have. But other than that, there really isn't anything.
I know.
Guys,
we all agree. We all agree.
Check the transcripts, okay? I was high on Spates. He stunk. Halfway through the year, I picked Mike as my Super Bowl pick. He's fallen off the face of the earth. I picked Breen as one of my playoff teams. He's fallen off. The only thing that's going to stop Andy DeVita is if I pick him as my Super Bowl champion. I'm picking him as my Super Bowl champion.
Yes.
Try to overcome that one, Andy.
So does that put Pete and I in a good spot now heading into the playoffs?
Hey, don't shut the gum. I still have time to pick you too, Steve.
No. What can I do to insult you? All right. Well, that's interesting. I cannot wait for it personally, and we could learn more about that matchup and all the matchups that Andy DeVita has coming up Thursday on our Week 15 preview. So DeVito, you're definitely out.
Well, I will be at TD Garden.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right.
We'll see what time we start the pod and what time we get back from the game.
Bruins are worth it in case you're in, so it might just be me and you. Let's roll.
Oh my God, that'd be so awesome. 2 best friends, best buddies, best brothers.
Do you want to get
little buddies?
Do you want to get a guest on, or do you want to just do me and you?
Ooh, let's bring on Lloyd.
Let's do Lloyd. Okay, we'll bring him on for a big showdown. That'll be great. All right, that'll be good. And Steve, don't forget to put your picks in. It's a big week.
You're like the guest referee, Pete.
I know. I can't wait. It is.
If you had to have one guy in the league to be a referee, who would you want it to be?
Oh, it'd be Pete. It'd be like Shawn Michaels, guest referee.
No, I'm as corrupt as it gets. I would probably.
That's my point.
Yeah, the guest referee. I always loved that the guest referees wore sleeveless referee shirts. Like they had to Shawn walk out with
I think I'd like to see Kevin Breen in a sleeveless referee shirt as the guest referee.
Not firm enough.
Listen to this. Listen to this.
There's only one guy, Jeff Innes. Jeff Innes is the only one that has the.
I don't know. I think that he could be a little corrupt at times too.
Yeah, he's not as corrupt.
He's like Ted DiBiase.
I don't trust him.
He'll start laughing in the background.
Everyone's got a price. Hey, next week, if you're looking at like a pay-per-view to buy, the next week coming up looks awesome. The matchups are Kaleli and Jeff. It's a Super Bowl rematch. So Jeff can end Mike's season for the 2nd year in a row, which I think is fantastic. All right. Breen and D'Adarian.
Who would that be, wrestlers? If they were going against each other.
It's like it would be like the end your career match, but it would happen twice. So it must have been like the Undertaker, maybe a buried alive match in there. I don't know. Undertaker,
like the Stone Cold Vince McMahon.
I love it. So they meet again. You have Breen and D'Adarian, with Breen could play spoiler. You have DeVito and DeVita, the Tata, two of the top 3 scoring teams.
Would it be the Tota?
The Tota. You have the Lloyd and Casey showdown, and somewhere in there, I'm going to smack Spates. So you can sit down for that one too. So really great week ahead, and I know I'm looking forward to it. So anything else you guys want to add before we go?
It's like the big show against Rey Mysterio, Pete, your match.
I've never been more fired up to not be in the playoffs.
I know it's gonna be a good week. All right, looking forward to it. Don't get freaked out by the pre-recorded ad. All right. Have a good one.
All right.
Keep listening.
Oh, I thought we were pausing again.
Peace.